Welcome to Bloodshed Breakdown, where slasher films meet chilling conspiracy theories. We dive deep into the gore, mystery, and the sinister truths behind the stories you love. Grab your popcorn and prepare for the fright of your life tonight. We're prepping for a post-mortem unlike any other with the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Now, this isn't your typical slasher flick. It's more like a scalpel-sharp dissection of fear itself, blending classic horror with the unsettling intrigue of a historical mystery.
Precisely. The Autopsy of Jane Doe doesn't just show us the horror, it makes us feel like we're part of the investigation. From the very first scene, it throws you right into a gruesome puzzle, a suburban house, a multiple homicide, the works. But the real mystery isn't the carnage. It's the pristine body of Jane Doe found in the basement.
It's like the film is saying, hey, look closer. The real horror isn't what you see, it's what you don't understand. And that's where our guides come in, Tommy and Austin Tilden, the father-son coroner duo running the local morgue. Now, you might think, coroners, dealing with death all the time, they must be immune to fear. But that's where the Autopsy of Jane Doe gets really clever.
The Tildens are methodical, almost scientific in their approach. Their tools are scalpels and forceps. Their language is anatomy and cause of death. And that stark contrast, that clinical detachment against the backdrop of growing supernatural dread, well, it's designed to make you squirm in your seat. It's like watching a surgeon try to dissect a ghost.
Okay, so let's talk about the autopsy itself. Fair warning. It's not for the faint of heart, but it's the heart of the mystery. And this isn't just a blood and gut spectacle. Each incision, each layer they peel back, reveals a deeper layer of dread. They start with the external examination. Jane Doe's body is flawless, peaceful, like a sleeping beauty. But once they get inside, wow, that's where the film starts to whisper its secrets to you.
The internal examination is where the scientific facade begins to crack. Broken bones with no external bruising, charred organs as if burned from within, and lung tissue showing signs of smoke inhalation, even though there was no fire. It's as if her body is a living paradox, a medical mystery defying all logic.
And each unsettling discovery is mirrored by increasingly disturbing events in the morgue itself. The lights flicker, the radio spits out static and eerie broadcasts, and a bell tied to a corpse's foot in the next room starts ringing on its own. It's like the more they probe Jane Doe's physical form, the more something else pushes back.
Do you think the filmmakers are hinting at a connection, like her spirit is somehow entangled with the autopsy itself?
It's a brilliant way to build tension, to blur the lines between the tangible and the unseen. The film forces you to question. What happens when the scientific method collides with the unexplainable? What happens when the scalpel cuts too deep? And that question leads us to the most chilling discovery of all, a cloth fragment found within Jane Doe's stomach. Yeah, this is where things take a turn toward the historical. This isn't just a random piece of fabric. It has occult symbols and a reference to Leviticus 20.27, a biblical passage about witches. Suddenly, this seemingly isolated death is connected to something much larger, something ancient and sinister. We're no longer just dealing with a body on a slab. We're dealing with a potential gateway to a past that refuses to stay buried.
That cloth fragment isn't just a clue, it's a door creaking open. It invites us, along with the Tildens, to step out of the sterile world of the autopsy room and into a realm where science and folklore collide.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2, after a brief.
Wait.
There are no breaks on Bloodshed Breakdown. Let's keep going. This autopsy is just getting started.
That cloth fragment, with its cryptic symbols and biblical reference, acts as a bridge between the sterile world of the morgue and the dark history of the Salem witch trials. Suddenly, Jane Doe isn't just an anonymous corpse, she becomes a symbol of a time when fear and superstition reigned supreme, a time when innocent women were persecuted and silenced.
It's almost as if the film is using this seemingly scientific setting, the autopsy room, to dissect not just a body, but a chapter of history we'd rather forget. You know, growing up, I was always fascinated by the Salem witch trials, but also terrified. The idea that a community could turn on itself, fueled by paranoia and religious fervor, sends shivers down my spine. And the Autopsy of Jane Doe taps into that collective fear, that unease about the dark side of human nature.
Precisely. And by connecting Jane Doe to the Salem witch trials, the film invites us to consider the lasting impact of historical trauma. It's not just about a ghost story. It's about the echoes of injustice that can reverberate through time.
It's like Jane Doe's silence becomes a voice for all those who were silenced, their stories lost to history. And that silence, that lack of a traditional monstrous presence, somehow makes her even more terrifying. We're left to fill in the blanks, to imagine the suffering she endured. That's where the real horror lies.
The film masterfully plays with our expectations. We're conditioned to expect the monster to be loud, aggressive, visually grotesque. But Jane Doe is stillness. She's quiet observation. And that makes her presence all the more unsettling.
It's like the film is whispering to us. The real monsters are often hidden in plain sight, in the shadows of our history, in the unexamined corners of our own minds. And that unsettling ambiguity extends to the film's sound design as well. It's not just about jump scares or jarring music cues. It's the subtle, unsettling noises, the creaking of the morgue, the whispers on the radio, the silence that hangs heavy in the air.
That's what makes the Autopsy of Jane Doe so effective. It's a slow burn, a gradual descent into dread. The sound design becomes an extension of Jane Doe's presence, a constant reminder that something is amiss, even when we can't see it.
And speaking of things we can't see, let's talk about that unsettling children's song. Open up your heart and let the sun shine in. That keeps playing on the radio. It's like the film is twisting something innocent, something familiar, into something sinister. It's a reminder that even in the most mundane aspects of life, darkness can lurk beneath the surface.
That choice of music is so deliberate, so chilling, it creates a dissonance, a jarring contrast between the lighthearted tune and the growing sense of dread that permeates the film. It's like a warning, a reminder that evil can often disguise itself in the most unexpected forms.
It makes you question everything you see and hear, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
what other seemingly innocent things might hold hidden meanings, hidden dangers. And that questioning, that sense of unease, is further amplified by the film's refusal to explicitly explain everything. We're left to piece together the clues, just like Tommy and Austin. And that process of discovery becomes part of the horror itself.
The filmmakers trust the audience to engage the material, to draw their own conclusions, and by leaving certain things unsaid, they allow our imaginations to fill in the blanks, which often leads to a far more terrifying experience than anything they could have explicitly shown us.
It's like they're handing us the scalpel and saying, okay, you want to know the truth? Then dig deeper. But be warned. What you find might be more disturbing than you ever imagined.
And as Tommy and Austin delve deeper into the mystery of Jane Doe, they're forced to confront not only the supernatural forces at play, but also the limitations of their own scientific understanding. Their world, a world built on logic and reason, starts to crumble as they encounter something that defies all explanation.
It's almost like the film is asking, what happens when the tools we use to understand the world fail us? What happens when the scalpel can't cut through the mystery? When the microscope can't reveal the truth?
And that question becomes increasingly urgent as the night progresses, and the supernatural events escalate. Tommy, desperate to understand and perhaps appease Jane Doe's spirit, makes a heartbreaking sacrifice, attempting to offer himself in exchange for his son's safety.
But even that act of desperation, that attempt to bargain with forces beyond his control, ultimately fails. And that's when the film truly reveals its chilling message. Sometimes there are no answers, no solutions, no escape from the darkness.
Austin is left alone in the morgue, surrounded by the echoes of his father's sacrifice, facing the full force of Jane Doe's vengeful spirit. And it's in those final moments, as he fights for his life, that we see the true cost of disturbing the past, of unraveling secrets that were meant to remain buried.
His descent into terror is palpable. And the film doesn't shy away from showing us the psychological toll of confronting the supernatural. He's not just battling a physical threat. He's battling the disintegration of his own sanity, the unraveling of his reality.
And in a final, tragic twist, as he tries to escape the morgue, he falls to his death. His demise orchestrated by Jane Doe's unseen hand. Even in death, there's no peace, no escape from the cycle of vengeance that's been set in motion.
It's a relentlessly bleak ending, one that leaves you with a lingering sense of dread and a profound sense of unease.
But that bleakness, the refusal to offer easy answers or comforting resolutions is what makes the Autopsy of Jane Doe so powerful, so thought-provoking. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes the monsters we create, the injustices we perpetuate, have consequences that extend far beyond our comprehension.
And that brings us to the chilling final scene. The one that lingers in your mind long after the credits roll. Jane Doe's body is being transported to another facility, seemingly unharmed, untouched by the chaos she's unleashed. But then, in a subtle, almost imperceptible movement, her toe twitches. That seemingly insignificant twitch speaks volumes, doesn't it? It's a final, chilling reminder that the curse, the vengeance, it's not over. Jane Doe is more than just a body on a slab. She's a force of nature, an embodiment of centuries of pain and rage.
That final shot, the twitch of the toe, it shatters any sense of closure or resolution. It suggests that the cycle of violence, of retribution, will continue. It's a deeply unsettling image that lingers in your mind, a subtle but powerful reminder that some wounds run so deep they can't be healed, not even by death.
It makes you think. What other ancient forces might we be unknowingly unleashing in our pursuit of knowledge, in our quest to dissect and understand the world around us? Is there a price to be paid for our curiosity, for our desire to probe the mysteries of life and death?
The Autopsy of Jane Doe doesn't provide easy answers to these questions, but it certainly raises them in a way that's both thought-provoking and deeply unsettling. It challenges us to consider the ethical implications of our actions, the unintended consequences of our pursuit of knowledge.
It's interesting how the film also uses the Tilden family's profession, their role as coroners, to explore these themes of mortality and legacy. They're surrounded by death every day, tasked with unraveling the mysteries of the deceased. But with Jane Doe, they're confronted with a mystery that defies their expertise, a force that transcends their understanding of the natural world.
Their meticulous scientific approach, their reliance on logic and reason, it all crumbles in the face of the supernatural. And that, I think, is one of the most terrifying aspects of the film. It suggests that our rational understanding of the world, our belief in scientific progress, might be nothing more than a thin veneer, a fragile illusion that can be shattered at any moment.
It's a reminder that there are forces at play in the universe that we may never fully comprehend, mysteries that science can't explain, and that sometimes the most terrifying discoveries are the ones that challenge our fundamental assumptions about reality itself.
And that, I believe, is the enduring power of The Autopsy of Jane Doe. It's a film that operates on multiple levels. It's a chilling horror story, a masterclass in suspense and atmosphere, but it's also a profound meditation on the limits of human understanding, the weight of history, and the enduring power of ancient vices that we may never fully comprehend.
It's a film that stays with you, that makes you question, that makes you look over your shoulder in the dark. And sometimes, that's the best kind of horror, the kind that lingers in your mind, that makes you wonder about the secrets hidden beneath the surface of our everyday world.
It's a reminder that the past is never truly dead, that the echoes of ancient wrongs can reverberate through time, and that some mysteries are best left undisturbed.
Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, review, and grab our merch at bloodshedbreakdown-merch.printify.me. Stay curious, stay cautious.